Today, on Any Given Garage, we're working on an easy fabrication project. We're going to replace a broken solar panel arm with our own homemade metal version. And so we can see here how this bracket pretty bent up and this piece here busted, so it won't even hold the screws where the screw holes used to be. So we're going to try to straighten this bracket out here and then make a whole new one of these guys out of some scrap angle iron that I've got laying around. So we can see just a couple of whacks of the hammer actually worked pretty well and straighten that out for the most part. At least it's close enough for what we're doing. This is a super light, I'm assuming aluminum, super light, easy to bend metal. So that's close enough. We'll get out our angle iron and start making a new bracket. All right, so I've got the piece cut and then I kind of trimmed the edges a little bit here with the flap wheel just so that it wasn't quite so sharp. And then what I was looking at is this guy here, because it has this curve. I was considering trying to cut this one here, cut that at an angle so that I would actually be tilted up, and then cut a little V out here, flatten this back out so that it was at an angle. But looking at it, even though the plastic one has that curve to it, it still basically just sticks out straight. So I think all I'm going to do is section off a little chunk here so that my wing nut that goes underneath has a little bit of extra space to spin. If I don't get that hole exactly right, it's going to need some room. So I'm going to cut a little chunk out here, and then I've got another little chunk of some flat stock, some flat bar that I'm going to make the equivalent of this back piece out of. But what I wanted to do is I want to drill the holes in it first while I have the whole length of it to hold on to, so it's not just like spinning in my hands. I don't have my fingers as close to the drill bit, and then I'll cut it and weld it to my piece of angle iron here. All right, so now I want to make this piece around the same size as that guy there. It doesn't have to be totally perfect. Make a rough mark, how big that is. Again, this doesn't need to be perfect. I'm mounting it to the outside of a shed, so it really isn't going to make a huge difference if these holes aren't perfectly lined up or if they're a little crooked. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean this up, both sides, with the flat disc, get all this kind of mill scale off, get down just to the bare metal to make it easier to weld. And then I'll cut that, and then we'll weld it all together. So one last thing I want to do is I want to come back with the acetone here. I'm going to wipe off my welding surfaces because I want them as free from contaminants as possible. So that's going to help with the welding, especially when you get a look at my welder here in just a second. All right, so this here is my welder. Just a little flux core guy. The biggest downsides that I don't like about it, as you can see here, I got the on off, and then for voltage I have min max, and then a 1 through 10 wire speed. The biggest downside is I don't have a whole lot of adjustability with just that min max button, but pretty much everything I found I just need to run on max, and that's not enough. So I usually have to heat everything with a torch first and then weld to try to get decent penetration. My recommendation, if you're looking for a new welder, is get something that has a little bit more adjustability in the voltage than just min and max. Again, not the prettiest, but you can see now that the whole workpiece is hotter, it seems to be getting better penetration. All right, now it's all wiped out and everything, ready to go. Gonna hang it up, paint it, and then we'll install it. Well, that's it for our little solar panel arm. It's all painted nice, so it shouldn't rust. It's mounted back on the shed, and I think this metal one will hold up a lot better than the plastic one did to the wind that we have here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time inside any given garage.